Alright.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. This is our review section of our Spotlight stream, where we like to talk about what we liked about a game, what we might not have liked particularly as much, and any changes that we might want to see or modifications, something to that effect. And we're just going to go through that with the people that have played. And anyone in the chat, if you've got any comments or questions for Chris, feel free to ask them now.
And just to point out, if you weren't watching our live playthrough, the guy in the corner, that's Chris. He is the creator of the game. Say hi, Chris.
Hey, everyone.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Nicole.
Okay, so Josh, do you want to go first because you were the last? The game is last in, first out. So.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. It was fun. I need to play again. I need to. I need to redeem myself. That was the word I was looking for.
Oh, is that what you're getting at?
Yeah,
there? You think you can? That's interesting.
I think I can. I'm actually very interested to look what the other two decks are that came with the demo copy.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason we didn't use them because they were all placeholder images. I'm like, we should use the full decks on the game, on the stream. So I'm very interested to see that. Because I'm not typically straight up attack deck.
Yeah, that's definitely not your strategy.
That's not my
when you
strategy,
play
so
games like this.
And I screwed myself over with that stupid card because I didn't even realize that was there. And that's my fault. And yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I need to play it more before I can give a true review on it. But the game I had was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I do like some of the mechanics, and I probably would like playing your deck.
You would probably enjoy this deck as well.
Because we both kind of have that
Strategy.
Douche face.
But yeah, more of not straight up kind of planning your moves and doing a much more elaborate move than a straight up attack you in the face move.
Right.
But no, it was fun. The little critiques I had, Chris already said that they're fixing them, like the text stuff that I couldn't read.
Mm-hmm.
I had this turn sequencing here. Oh, it's on the back. That was exactly what I was going to ask about.
Oh, really?
I thought it might be on the front here, but no, it's just on the back. So, yep, nope, never mind.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Good times.
I got corrected as I picked it up.
You already thought of that, Josh.
I seen that.
And what'd you think?
I have mentioned this before. Can you move Chris's face? It makes me very awkward giving a review when he's staring at me.
He cannot
I'm
move
just
that.
eyes gazing right in. Like daggers.
Piercing into your soul.
All the good things.
Chris, the more awkward you make her feel, the better your review is going to be. Just glare right now.
Chris is now a platypus.
I've said before that this was I hate to pick favorites, but it was probably my favorite game at BGG-Con. I really enjoyed sitting down and playing it. I am not a card player. I'm not a deck builder player. I am probably the newest to tabletop games. I am more of a video gamer from my history. But this is fun. There's a lot to it. So playing it the first time is rough. You kind of have to play all right, we're just going to sit down and play this through, and it's not going to count because we're just going to figure out the mechanics of how all of this works. And the more you understand your cards, and I guess this goes back to the custom deck building aspect, the better you are in a position to really put together a great strategy, because you know the strategy for your cards. If you know the faction that your opponent's playing, you have an idea of how they're going to play, how you're going to defend against that. So I love the strategy aspect to it. I am super into Greco-Roman mythology. I loved seeing Mars. I loved seeing Hera. I love the fact that you didn't just put these lowercase g gods onto cards and say, here, this looks cool. You took the time to really make the cards reflective of the personalities of this mythology, and that's really cool. In one of your previous videos, you had said it really great in that it's not just the cards, it's kind of like a history lesson as you go. At work, I listen to a lot of history podcasts. I've been listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, so it's cool to see that here as well.
Thanks.
Yeah. Things that I would improve. I mean, most of my negative criticism just goes to is easily explained by I just don't understand it yet. It's a game that you need to play a couple of times, but I love it. I back the game, so put my money where my
Double
mouth
thanks.
is. I expect a signed copy.
Oh yeah, no, that not a problem. Make that happen. I'll have to sign it after you get it though, because otherwise it's like a horrible shipping process.
That means Chris is coming back, guys. You're welcome.
Anything else you wanted to touch on with that?
No, I love it.
So for me, I really do enjoy the game a lot. I mean, I'm big into Magic. I'm not like competitive Magic. I'm a casual Magic player. So this definitely has a lot of the similar feels to it. I have played Magic enough that I get mana screwed, and that's where you were coming from with what you were saying before, Chris, is that it really sucks when that happens because you just want to be able to play the game. And I think this does a great job of mitigating that and kind of slipping past that mechanic but still keeping it strategic, because it's like, what cards do you want to get rid of from your hand but then possibly use later with their other abilities. So it's very interesting the way that plays out, and I rather enjoy the play. And I think I would have to agree with Anne that basically all of my criticisms stem from it's a fairly complex game, and there's a lot of terminology that you have to pick up. And a big part of that, too, is that I feel like it wouldn't be as hard to pick up the terminology if there wasn't, like, this deep-seated, copyrighted industry terminology that was already existing that you kind of have to work around. But I completely understand it. And honestly, the first game was rough. As you could see for me, I killed myself just as much as Anne killed me. But by the second playthrough, I definitely was picking things up a lot better. And I feel like just with one or two more, I could really get into the ebb and flow of the game fantastically. And there's really not any major criticisms that I have, just familiarizing myself with it more. And then just the text thing that you brought up, just like some of the colors being a little off on the cards.
Right.
I really don't have any problems with anything else on it. I think it seems very well balanced, just because she beat the crap out of me with that deck the first time around, and then I controlled the game completely when I was facing Josh.
Is this how Mad Up goes?
There you go. I mean, it could also be a familiarity thing, so I'm really excited to play more of this game and see how everything balances out, especially with the other decks. But all in all, it's solid 2 thumbs up for me. I really enjoyed playing this, and this is definitely something I could see going into our normal rotation, namely a me and Josh rotation, with us just kind of sitting here and playing against each other while everyone else is getting ready or doing their own thing.
Did I just get excluded?
Well, no, you're usually getting ready. You're usually getting ready with her.
All the FOMO.
I actually picked up a couple of things while we're talking. One thing I do like, which Magic does, is for descriptions of powers. If there isn't much text in the card, they typically add what that description is. So some of the lower level cards have that description there. So once you're playing, you're like, oh, this is what this ability is. And you don't have to look at it right away, typically.
Like what?
Like Fleet here. If there wasn't too much text in the card, it would say what the description of Fleet would be on the actual card.
Yeah. Can only be blocked by creatures with Fleet or entrapment.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it would say it on the card depending on the card. So it's typically your lower tier cards would have that, because they don't have as many abilities on them typically. So there's more room for text, which makes it easier for picking it up right away and be like, oh, what is this ability? I don't have to go check it or something. There was something else I forgot. Oh, the other thing I like about this is the pre-built decks. I'm horrible at building a deck. Like, I buy starter decks for Magic, and I might modify it slightly, but I don't build decks.
Yeah, I've been in the same camp as that. It's that the pre-built decks are actually really awesome in my opinion there, just because there's not that gap of someone who's been, meticulously building this one deck with cards that they purchase off eBay for thousands of dollars and attempting to, just win by a landslide every time around. It seems very well balanced so far.
Yeah. Well, Chris was talking about this going into like tournament games, and that's cool because you can buy a good deck, like an OP deck. And this game in general, I think, is very well balanced, where if you're going to make something OP, it's because you put in the work to figure out the strategy, and even so, there's probably still a chance that somebody's going to out-strategize you. The game is built to be balanced and on a turn, and that keeps you excited. That keeps you engaged when you're one turn away, or you can keep the hope that you're going to turn the game around with one turn.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was actually one of the big things we wanted to do, was not gate it behind money, which is, what a collectible card game does. I mean, that's basically the business model, and it's also why they make so much money, because you chase those mythic rares and you chase those expensive cards. But I knew from the get-go that since this game involved trading cards with the other person, we wouldn't be able to do that, because it's just too tempting to walk away with someone else's cards. And so it's like, okay, well, if we're making it an LCG or, an expandable card game, then, let's make it where you can still play this just as competitively as Magic. You could probably play it even more competitively as Magic, but there's not nearly as much investment required in order to, get to that level. And like you said, Ann, it's based around your skill level. It's not based around buying the most expensive cards. It's, do you know how your cards work together, and can you adapt to your opponent?
Even from the basic playing Mars, when you and I played the first time, and you're like, okay, well, get the sand dune and then layer it with, I forget what the second card is, but this game seems like you can put a little bit of effort into some strategy, or you can put a lot of effort into strategy to get cards to really start to chain off one of another. So that's really cool, because I can, once I do something small, like, if you put these two cards together, then there's something, then I feel like I've accomplished something. So for somebody who's not very confident with deck building games or card games, just to have that, hey man, I made this little combination, that's a little like, yay, I can do it.
Well, that was my excitement when I was chaining together all of those cards, and
that's what makes the game fun.
Yeah, so that's also one of the things we wanted to do with the pre-made decks, is sort of like help you explore kind of all these different things that are in the game, but they're deliberately not optimized to be the best possible decks. They're ones where you might see, this card, this makes more sense in this deck, and I want these 3 cards from this other deck to be in my Mars deck or my Hera deck, and because then at that point now you're starting to think of deck building on your own, and you're starting to say, oh yeah, I could use that over here, or I want a couple more copies of this card to up my odds of drawing it. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of lead players into that in a way that's organic, to where they don't feel that like, oh no, deck building, so much stuff, what do I do? It could be as simple as, okay, you love playing the Mars deck, maybe you want to grab the extra red cards from the Mysticism deck and just throw them into your Mars deck and see what happens. Now you're on the road to deck building.
And there were a lot more questions, I think, when we streamed at BGGCon about deck building, but I know that you had put in, help me with this, but you had put on the cards themselves the sorts of limitations you could have for the deck building. Like, you have guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can have 3 of any one particular card, and you can only have 1 of an epic card. So it's, you don't have to worry too much about, okay, am I including too many cards? Am I not including enough cards? And then I think we also have in the rulebook sort of a guideline as to the ratio of like tier 1s to tier 2s to tier 3s. So you don't want to build a deck of all tier 3s, because you'll never be able to play it. You need tier 1s and tier 2s to play them. So anything we can do to help the player understand the game better, like, that's what we want to do, because we also recognize that there is a big learning curve to this, but once you make it past that first hurdle and you see that world kind of opening up in front of you, then it's like, whoa, I can do all this stuff, and that's the sensation I want people to have.
So when you are playing this game with multiple people, or even head to head, can you play with 2 pre-built of the same deck against each other? Is that kind of like recommended against just because of certain synergies, or?
You could absolutely play a Mars deck against a Mars deck. They are balanced against each other. Both, the 4 starter decks, red, blue, green, and brown, and also red versus red, because you have the same cards. Like, it's going to be balanced in that it'll come down to player skill and then who drew what cards.
How do you sort your cards back out afterwards?
So for the pre-made decks, there's a colored gem in the bottom right. So anytime you want to recreate those pre-made decks, you just find all the cards with that gem, you put them together, you'll have the pre-made deck. We're recommending, once people start deck building on their own, get the clear plastic penny sleeves and then dot the front of the sleeve with either a colored marker or a small colored sticker. And then that way, after the game is over, okay, all the ones that are dotted with my color, those are mine. All the ones that are dotted with your color are yours.
Makes sense. And plus, you get the added benefit of protecting your cards then.
Right, exactly. And we looked into custom sleeves, but unfortunately it put our price point up way too high. So you could also buy custom sleeves if you want, but unfortunately we're not we're not in the business of providing those yet.
Okay, so is there anything else you guys wanted to touch on?
So how many fractions did you guys talk about? How many
Factions.
Factions.
Factions. Currently the game is shipping with 4 factions, 5 if you include the Madness Gods. We probably won't include any Madness faction like creature cards or anything like that for quite a while because we need to build out newer factions. But we are planning, one of the great things about our resource system is that since it is color agnostic, we can introduce new factions and they slot in perfectly with the old ones because you all use the same resources. So we're planning our first big expansion to introduce 2 new factions, and then the next big expansion would introduce 2 more factions. So we would end up with 8 primary factions that are tournament legal, then the Madness faction, and then a special promo faction that you can only get by going to like conventions and stuff. Won't be tournament legal, but you can still play. It'll still be balanced against all the other cards.
Okay.
Chris, is there any frequently asked questions that you get that maybe we didn't touch on in this stream, but you want to make sure we cover?
I think that was the majority of them. I mean, as far as like card mechanics and interactions and stuff like that, I'm already writing up a pretty big FAQ, just from what we've seen in playtesting and then also from our beta testers and stuff. So that way, the instant the game comes out, that resource will already be available. And we're also planning on recording quite a few YouTube videos, kind of, showing, hey, here's how a card interaction takes place, or here's how the trading mechanic takes place. Because again, we want to make it as easy as possible for people to learn the basics of the game, so that way they can get into all the really cool layers that are lying underneath.
Dreki asks if they're standard board game size cards or Magic the Gathering size, and you answered in chat Magic the Gathering size.
Yeah, the standard poker size. I think Grant had the exact dimensions, like 66 by 88 millimeters or something like that. Whatever that standard playing card size is, that's what they're going to be.
Okay, and is there anything else you wanted to mention about the game specifically?
Not really. Just thank you to you guys for helping us spread the word, and thank you to everyone who's backing it and taking a chance on it. I mean, it's it's my hope that this becomes big enough to where people are playing it all over, not just the U.S. but in other countries too, and hopefully this is the first step on that path, because I think we've built something that people will really enjoy, and it's something new that they haven't had experience, in a card game before. So yes, thank you for everyone to help make that dream a reality.
We just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to show it on the stream.
Absolutely.
It looks like our viewers really enjoyed seeing it, and if you guys are watching this video after the fact, there is going to be a live playthrough that we'll upload around the same time. You should definitely check this out. I do want to mention this game is currently on Kickstarter. It is only on for another 10 days. I believe I saw that it's ending January 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want to congratulate them because Chris will be punting a kiwi.
Yes! Kiwi. Next up's the lime.
So guys, definitely back this if you haven't already. This is a lot of fun. Anne's been raving about it since BGGCon, and that's been a good 2 months.
I'm going to have to beat her in it now, because otherwise I'm not going to hear the end of it. So
It's on.
And when does the game deliver?
We're planning on delivering it mid to late August. I believe Gen Con will be early sale, and then I think the week after will be when it's broadly available.
Awesome.
sounds great.
Grant, thank you for setting this up. We really appreciate you guys over at Victory Point Games. You're awesome. In-N-Out Burger.
Alright, I guess that's the end of our stream.
Yep, so that's going to conclude our broadcast for this evening. Thank you all for watching. This has been our Spotlight stream of Twilight of the Gods. Again, go check them out on Kickstarter. They're wrapping it up soon, and we're really excited for how well they're doing. And Chris, I do want to say it's a very ambitious goal you guys have about wanting to get this as a nationwide and worldwide game, and we really hope that it succeeds, just because we really do see the work that's been put into this, and it is a fun game to play as well.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And then I have to do one last thing, because I told one of the people in the chat stream. They said I looked kind of like Christian Bale and asked if I could do the Batman voice. Thanks, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Please clip that.
Someone put that, please. Thank you.
Can we use that for our new followers?
Yes, by all means.
Wait, can you do it one more time when we're not talking over you?
Sure. Thanks, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Chris, you're fantastic, and thank you again for joining us. So this is Twist Gaming signing off. Thank you all for joining us. Follow us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and come chat with us in our Discord channel.
Yes.
We could talk more about this game if you guys like, and any more questions that you guys have. Other than that, stay tuned for our future streams. So tomorrow we're going to be doing Twitch Plays Kingdom Death, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday we're going to be live at Loot Games and Comics in Coral Springs, Florida. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Thursday we're going to be starting our new campaign of...
There's still a poll up. Exclamation poll.
Okay,
Thanks.
so guys, go vote in the poll and tell us what you'd be interested in seeing the most, and we'll have that ready for Thursday. Other than that, we'll see you back here next Monday for our next Spotlight stream, right, TP?
Yes.
And do we have that set up
Are
yet?
we doing... Did we decide if we're doing Saturday anything or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So nothing
So
there.
that is to be announced later on.
And you can find that out on our Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube,
Which is why you
Instagram,
should
and
be following
Discord.
us.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, thank you all for joining us. This is Twist Gaming signing off. We hope you had a great time. I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
I'm TP. And that's Chris.
That's Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm Chris.
Thank you.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
guys.
Take care.